Murray. An investigation is now underway after CMPD says its officers were involved in a shooting this morning. Now, CMPD is holding a press conference right now. We're going to go ahead and listen in.
Waistband and pointed it in the direction of the officers.
How long?
There were two officers on the scene. One officer perceived an imminent lethal threat and fired his service weapon, striking the subject. Immediately rendered medical aid by the officers on scene. The gun was recovered, as well as a magazine. Medic responded and immediately began continuing efforts towards his physical well-being, and I'm happy to report that he is awake, alert, and talking down at the hospital. So this is a non-life-threatening incident. We take it no less seriously because anytime an officer discharges his or her firearm, that is a very serious thing, and that is why the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation has been dispatched to do this independent investigation. We also have our detective supervisors, as well as the entire chain of command from our Internal Affairs Division, to do a separate but parallel investigation to ensure that policies internal to our organization were followed. This is a complex investigation, as every case that we work has the potential to be, and I can assure you we'll be here on scene, accountable to the community, as we always are, and as you've heard Chief Jennings say many times, being the transparent organization that you expect us to be. I'll take any questions, and then I've got to get going.
What was the original 911 call for?
There was no 911 call, ma'am.
So what prompted the officers to be at this location?
This is a known location to, I would argue, many people within the community, particularly along the Beatties Ford corridor, of a location that has experienced a high degree of violence and drug activity previously. And in response to the community's concerns, we have made that a priority to assign officers to try and help alleviate some of that violent behavior, which is exactly what the officers were doing at that time when they encountered the two individuals in front of the door of the store. There was no 911 call. This was self-initiated police activity.
Some witnesses are telling us they know this man and he has special needs. Are you aware of that?
Every day.
We're still working through the details of the person who was shot. What I can tell you is, as we continue to evaluate and speak with his family, I have no knowledge of that, but I do know that we go by behavior. We go by behavior, and regardless of whatever may come to pass in that arena or not, when an officer perceives a imminent lethal threat, then they are obligated, in fact, to defend themselves or an unknown third party to what they perceive as that threat.
Guys, we have to get the deputy chief out of here. One more question?
Yes, was their body camera on, knowing that they were going to interact with this
There's another question over here. Hang on, I just want to make sure somebody else gets their question.
Yeah, this is the second police shooting in this community within 2 months, I want to say, with a person with mental illness. Why was none of the gun violence organizations called in? Why is it that police need more training with this mental illness instead of pulling these triggers?
Well,
because we have a lot of officers that are shooting people now.
I can't speak to why other agencies weren't called in. I can tell you that this was a rapidly, immediately evolving situation, that officers responded to the community's concerns about there being violence and drug activity, and were met immediately with a person pulling a gun on them. We don't have the luxury, unfortunately, of determining who has what medical conditions or mental health issues potentially, and I'm not saying that's evident in this case, but what I am saying is I wish we had the luxury to know everybody's history when we deal with them. We go with immediate action and what is occurring at that time, and I can tell you I don't know of anybody who would say that having a gun pointed at them is a time to stop and say, hey, tell me what your mental capacity is. It just doesn't work like that.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much. We've got to get you out of here. Thank you very much.
And you are watching.
All right, that was a presser with CMPD. We're going to try to get situated here and show you the scene now. We did get a rundown of what just happened. I do want to have my photographer give you a look at the scene we're currently looking at. Now, CMPD is saying that officers were in the area for suspected drug activity. That's when officers talked to two people and a gun was presented showing a threat to officers is what CMPD is saying. And that was when the suspect, or subject I should say, was then shot. Now, police are saying that the person who was shot is at the hospital and they were able to wake up. They are responsive in the hospital. CMPD is saying that this is no longer life-threatening. And again, this is all happening on Beatties Ford Road. This is at a Fast Mart number 5. This is near Catherine Simons Avenue. And police say a gun was recovered. No officers were hurt in this situation. And this happened around 11 a.m. today. Now, this is a very heavy police presence here. I counted over 20 officer vehicles. We do see CMPD Police Chief Johnny Jennings here on scene. And again, we just got a brief rundown of what happened. We're going to continue to gather information. There are a lot of community members around here at the scene currently saying that they knew the gentleman, or the person I should say, that was shot. So we're going to continue to kind of gather that information and bring you the latest. But again, CMPD is saying that they were in this area for suspected drug activity. That is when a gun was presented by an individual, and that's when officers shot. We're going to continue to follow this story and bring you the latest. But for now, reporting live for WCNC Charlotte, I'm Lexi Wilson.
All right, thanks, Lexi, and make sure you stay safe out there. Now, guys at home, I know we're throwing a lot of information at you. One more bit of information here. They did say, CMPD there said that State Bureau has been dispatched for an independent investigation. Of course, Lexi's going to stay on scene. She's going to get us all the information that we can from our officers and delay them right to you here on